Welcome to our channel. Today we're going to explore how the Stoics dealt with suffering and stress. In times of uncertainty and adversity, many people seek ways to find peace and emotional balance. Stoicism, a practical philosophy that emerged in ancient Greece, offers a number of valuable tools for facing these challenges. Stoicism was founded by Zeno of Citium around 300 BCE and developed by thinkers such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. This philosophy teaches us to live in harmony with nature and reason, focusing on what we can control and accepting what is beyond our control. For the Stoics, true happiness and serenity come from practicing virtue and mastering our emotional reactions. In this video, we'll dive into the Stoic practices and teachings that help us face suffering and stress with resilience and serenity. From accepting fate to practicing self-control, you'll learn techniques that you can incorporate into your daily life to improve your mental and emotional health. We'll discover how the Stoics dealt with suffering and stress, and how we can apply these principles to our own lives to live with greater serenity and balance. Get ready for a journey of self-discovery and transformation, where we'll explore practical techniques and philosophical teachings that have stood the test of time. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of how Stoicism can help you deal with suffering and stress, and you'll be equipped with practical tools to apply these principles to your daily life. So, let's begin this journey and discover the secrets of Stoic serenity. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue receiving videos about Stoicism. One of the most profound and transformative concepts of Stoicism is Amor Fati, which means love of fate. This idea teaches us to accept and love everything that happens in our lives, whether positive or negative events. For the Stoics, everything that happens is in accordance with the natural order of the universe, and we should embrace our fate with gratitude and serenity. Accepting fate is a powerful practice for dealing with suffering and stress. When we accept that we have no control over certain circumstances and that everything happens for a reason, we free ourselves from the burden of resentment and frustration. This acceptance allows us to find inner peace, even in the midst of difficulties. Amor Fati is not a passive attitude of resignation, but rather an active stance of love and acceptance. It means not only tolerating but embracing all life experiences, recognizing that each one contributes to our growth and development. This perspective helps us transform suffering into an opportunity for learning and strengthening. To practice Amor Fati, start observing how you react to adverse situations. Instead of resisting or fighting against what cannot be changed, try to accept and love these circumstances. Ask yourself, how can I grow from this experience? What can I learn from it? Over time, this practice of active acceptance will strengthen your emotional resilience and allow you to face suffering with greater serenity. Amor Fati is a practical philosophy that can be incorporated into your daily life, from small annoyances to major adversities. By cultivating this attitude, you will discover a new way of living, where each moment is valued and each challenge is seen as an opportunity for growth. Meditatio malorum, or reflection on evils, is a Stoic practice that involves imagining adverse scenarios that could occur in our lives. This technique may seem counterintuitive at first, but it has a profound impact on our ability to cope with suffering and stress. By contemplating potential negative situations, we mentally prepare ourselves to face real adversities with more serenity and balance. The idea behind Meditatio malorum is simple. By reflecting on potential difficulties, such as the loss of a job, a disagreement with a friend, or a health problem, we become less susceptible to emotional shock when these situations actually occur. This practice helps us develop a resilient mindset and reduce anxiety when faced with the unexpected. To practice Meditatio malorum, set aside a few minutes of your day to reflect on possible adverse scenarios. Ask yourself, what could go wrong, and how would I deal with this? Then, visualize yourself facing these situations with calm and courage. This visualization is not meant to generate fear, but to prepare the mind to respond in a balanced and rational way. The Stoics believe that this practice helps us to appreciate more deeply the good things we have in the present. When we imagine what life would be like without certain aspects that we value, we learn to be more grateful and to value what we have. Gratitude, in turn, contributes significantly to our emotional and mental well-being. In addition, Meditatio Malorum teaches us to accept the impermanence of things. Recognizing that everything is temporary helps us to better deal with losses and changes, strengthening our emotional resilience. By incorporating this practice into our routine, we can face challenges with a more positive and balanced attitude. In Stoicism, self-control and temperance are essential virtues for maintaining emotional balance and dealing with stress. The Stoics believe that by mastering our passions and desires, we can live a more serene and balanced life. Self-control involves the ability to regulate our emotions and actions, while temperance refers to moderation and balance in our decisions and behaviors. Practicing self-control and temperance helps us avoid impulsive and overreacting, which can often exacerbate distress and stress. Instead, we cultivate an attitude of calm and rationality, which allows us to deal more effectively with challenging situations. A Stoic technique for developing self-control is self-observation. This involves paying attention to our thoughts and emotions as they arise, without judgment. By observing our emotional reactions, we can identify negative patterns and replace them with more rational and balanced responses. This practice allows us to maintain calm and mental clarity in times of crisis. Another important practice is daily reflection. At the end of the day, take time to reflect on your actions, thoughts, and emotions. Ask yourself, did I act in accordance with my Stoic values today? What could I have done differently? This ongoing self-assessment helps us identify areas for improvement and strengthen our self-control. Moderation in actions and desires is also key. Avoiding excess and maintaining balance helps us avoid impulsive behaviors that can lead to suffering. Practicing temperance means finding a middle ground in our decisions and actions, always seeking balance and harmony. By incorporating these practices of self-control and temperance into our daily routine, we can strengthen our emotional resilience and face stress with greater serenity. These Stoic virtues help us to remain calm in the midst of chaos and to make more sensible and balanced decisions. The pursuit of virtue and integrity is a central aspect of Stoicism and plays a crucial role in how we deal with suffering and stress. For Stoics, virtue is moral excellence and the path to a full and happy life. Living virtuously means acting in accordance with our core values and maintaining integrity in all situations. Seneca, one of the main Stoic philosophers, emphasized the importance of living according to virtue. He believed that by practicing virtue, we become stronger and more resilient in the face of adversity. Virtue guides us in our decisions and actions, helping us to face challenges with dignity and courage. In Stoicism, virtues are divided into four main categories: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Each of these virtues contributes to our ability to deal with suffering and stress in a balanced and rational way. Wisdom enables us to make good decisions, courage helps us to face fear, justice guides us to treat others fairly, and temperance teaches us to moderate our desires and actions. Integrity, on the other hand, is the coherence between our words, thoughts, and actions. Maintaining integrity means acting in accordance with our principles, even when doing so is difficult or unpopular. Integrity strengthens us emotionally, as it gives us a sense of purpose and direction, even in times of crisis. To cultivate virtue and integrity in our daily lives, the Stoics recommend practicing self-reflection and meditation. Taking time to evaluate our actions and motivations helps us identify areas for improvement and reinforce our core values. Additionally, drawing inspiration from the examples of great Stoics such as Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus can motivate us to live virtuously. By incorporating the pursuit of virtue and integrity into our lives, we become better equipped to face suffering and stress with equanimity and resilience. These values guide us toward a life of purpose and moral excellence, strengthening our mental and emotional health. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Roman emperors and a Stoic philosopher, left a lasting legacy through his personal reflections, compiled in his work Meditations. In these notes, Marcus Aurelius shares his lessons and thoughts on how to deal with suffering and stress, offering valuable guidance for facing our own adversities. One of Marcus Aurelius' central ideas is the acceptance of the transitory nature of all things. He reminds us that everything in the universe is constantly changing and that we should accept this impermanence with equanimity. This perspective helps us to better cope with loss and change, reducing the emotional impact of suffering. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Constantly observe that everything is changing, and accustom yourself to thinking that the nature of the universe loves nothing so much as to change the things that are and to make new ones." Another important lesson from Marcus Aurelius is the practice of introspection and self-reflection. He emphasizes the importance of examining our own thoughts and actions to ensure that we are living in accordance with our values and principles. This practice helps us maintain integrity and resilience in the face of stress. Marcus Aurelius advises, dedicate yourself to constant improvement and re-examine your spirit by frequent self-inquiry. Additionally, Marcus Aurelius encourages us to focus on the present and not to worry excessively about the past or the future. He believes that the key to serenity is to live in the present moment and make the best of each situation. He writes, "Do not let the past disturb you unless you can change something about it. Do not let the future cause you anxiety because it has not yet arrived." By applying these reflections from Marcus Aurelius to our own lives, we can find inspiration and guidance to deal with suffering and stress in a more balanced and rational way. His timeless words remind us of the importance of acceptance, self-reflection, and focusing on the present. The Stoic perspective on death and loss is a fundamental part of Stoic philosophy and offers valuable lessons for dealing with these inevitable aspects of life. The Stoics believe that acceptance of mortality and impermanence is essential to living a full and meaningful life. For them, death is not something to be feared, but a natural process that should be accepted with serenity. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, taught that death is simply a transition and that we should not cling to what is temporary. He stated, "Death is one of the processes of nature, like youth and old age, growth and maturity." By accepting the inevitability of death, we can free ourselves from the fear and anxiety that often accompany it. Marcus Aurelius also reflected deeply on mortality in his meditations. He encouraged us to constantly remember the brevity of life and to use this knowledge to live more fully and authentically. He wrote, "You can leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." The Stoics also approached loss with an attitude of acceptance and gratitude. When we face the loss of a loved one, Stoic teachings remind us to cherish the time we had with that person and to accept the transience of life. Seneca said, "He who fears death has not learned to live." By practicing gratitude and acceptance, we can deal with loss in a more balanced and peaceful way. To apply the Stoic perspective on death and loss to our own lives, we can incorporate practices such as negative visualization and reflection on impermanence. These practices help us internalize the acceptance of mortality and appreciate the present more deeply. By approaching death and loss with a Stoic mindset, we become more resilient and prepared to deal with these inevitable challenges. The history of Stoicism is replete with inspiring examples of individuals who faced great challenges with courage and resilience. These examples show us how Stoic principles can be applied in practice to overcome adversity and strengthen our own emotional resilience. One notable example is Epictetus, who was born a slave and suffered countless hardships throughout his life. Despite his adversities, Epictetus developed a philosophy of life based on acceptance and resilience. He taught that while we cannot control external circumstances, we can control our reactions to them. This mindset allowed him to maintain serenity and inner strength regardless of external conditions. Another example is Seneca, who faced exile and numerous political challenges during his life. Even in the midst of these hardships, Seneca maintained his commitment to Stoic virtue and wisdom. He wrote extensively about how to face suffering with dignity and how to find inner peace amidst chaos. His letters and essays offer valuable lessons on resilience and self-control. As a Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius faced countless crises, including wars and plagues. In his meditations, he shares his personal reflections on how to maintain calm and mental clarity in the face of adversity. He reminds us of the importance of focusing on the present and acting in accordance with our values, regardless of external circumstances. Chrysippus, one of Zeno's main successors, also faced significant challenges in systematizing and developing Stoicism. he emphasized the importance of logic and clarity of thought in facing adversity and developing a resilient mind. These historical examples show us that by applying Stoic principles, we can develop a resilient mindset and face life's challenges with courage and serenity. The lessons of these great Stoics continue to inspire and guide us on our own journey of self-knowledge and personal growth. Applying Stoic principles to our interpersonal relationships can strengthen our emotional resilience and promote more harmonious coexistence. The Stoics teach us to treat others with fairness, respect, and compassion, which is essential to building healthy and lasting connections. One of the key concepts is the practice of empathy. By trying to understand the other person's perspective and motivations, we can better deal with conflicts and avoid hasty judgments. This allows us to respond with more calm and rationality, promoting more effective and harmonious communication. Acceptance also plays a crucial role in relationships. Accepting that we cannot control the actions and feelings of others helps us avoid frustration and disappointment. Instead, we focus on our own response and how we can act in a constructive and positive way. Applying the virtue of justice in our relationships means treating everyone with dignity and respect, regardless of the circumstances. This creates an environment of trust and mutual respect, which is essential for peaceful and productive coexistence. In addition, temperance, or moderation, helps us maintain emotional balance and avoid overreactions. Practicing self-control and patience in times of conflict allows us to resolve problems more effectively and maintain harmony in relationships. To cultivate these virtues in relationships, the Stoics recommend the practice of self-reflection and open communication. Taking time to evaluate how we relate to others and always seeking to improve our interactions can strengthen our interpersonal connections. Furthermore, being transparent and honest in our communications helps to build relationships based on trust and mutual respect. By applying these Stoic principles to our relationships, we can deal with conflict and interpersonal stress in a more effective and balanced way. These values help us build stronger and healthier connections, contributing to our emotional and mental well-being. We conclude our journey by exploring Stoic techniques and teachings for dealing with suffering and stress. Throughout this video, we have covered practices such as acceptance of fate, Amor Fati, meditatio malorum, self-control, the pursuit of virtue and integrity, and the reflections of Marcus Aurelius, among others. Now, it is time to summarize these concepts and encourage the practice of Stoicism in our daily lives. Stoicism offers us a set of practical tools to face life's adversities with courage and serenity. By applying these principles to our daily routine, we can develop a resilient mindset and live in a more balanced way. Acceptance of fate, or Amor Fati, teaches us to embrace all life experiences, whether positive or negative, and to find meaning in each moment. Meditatio malorum prepares us mentally to face challenges by reducing anxiety and strengthening our emotional resilience. Practicing self-control and temperance helps us maintain emotional balance and avoid impulsive reactions, while the pursuit of virtue and integrity guides our actions and decisions. The reflections of Marcus Aurelius remind us of the importance of living in the present and accepting the transience of things, while the Stoic perspective on death and loss helps us deal with these inevitable aspects of life with serenity. By incorporating these practices and teachings into our daily lives, we can face suffering and stress in a more effective and balanced way. The key to living with Stoic serenity is to apply these principles consistently and reflect on our progress over time. I hope you have found value in this content and that it serves as inspiration for your own Stoic practice. Remember that the Stoic journey is ongoing and that each day offers a new opportunity to grow and develop. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends and family. See you next time.